win Iowa. I'm trying to win Iowa. We're working hard. I'm going there in a little while. I'll be there a lot, and I'm going to try. We're way up in New Hampshire, way up in South Carolina, but I'm trying to win Iowa. I have a great relationship with the people, and as you probably know, about 2 weeks ago, CNN came out with a poll that I'm 33-20 up. So I think we can win Iowa. You know, I'm doing great with the evangelicals and great with the Tea Party, and we're doing well in Iowa. So, you know, we're going to try and win it. I know it would be easier for me to say, well, if I could do fairly well, and then we go to New Hampshire where where I have a very big lead, but I don't really want to do that. I think we have a good chance to win Iowa.
Do you think that these recent closer poll numbers for Ted Cruz owe to this concern that is he an American citizen, a natural-born citizen? You raised it. John McCain has raised it. Some of his other opponents have raised it, Rand Paul among them. What do you think's going on, and do you think that's a legitimate issue?
Well, it's a very legitimate issue. Even the governor of Iowa, Terry Branstad, you know, he's a highly respected governor, and he brought it up. A lot of people are bringing it up. It's a real problem. Lawrence Tribe of Harvard, who's a constitutional expert, he feels it's something that's totally unsettled. And, you know, the problem you have is if you have him as a candidate, and he's a friend of mine, I like him a lot, but if you have him as a candidate and you know, you don't know whether or not he's even going to be allowed to run or to serve. I mean, how can you be voting that way? And I suggested that he get a declaratory judgment from the courts. You go in early, you get a declaratory judgment, and you settle the issue. But this is an issue, as Lawrence Tribe said, is just not a settled issue at all. And it's a big problem. And many
but why
people
now? I guess I'm curious. I'm sorry. Why now, Donald, has this become an issue? I mean, obviously you've known, and the two of you seem to get along very well as you've campaigned throughout this long, arduous process. And a lot of people are saying, why now? Why now is this becoming an issue?
Well, first of all, I didn't bring it up. This was brought up by the Washington Post. They asked me a question, one of many, and this was one of the questions. And I said, I have no idea. You know, I just know he was born in Canada. He was not born on this land. And a lot of people think it means you have to be born on the land. You have to be born here. I mean, that's one of the very big interpretations. And that was always what I felt. You know, years ago when I would hear about this, I always felt you had to be born on the land. You can't be born in Canada. And Ted, I believe, was a citizen of Canada, actually, and gave up his citizenship 15, 16 months ago. And, you know, the whole thing is
his
weird.
Canadian citizenship, yeah.
He was a Canadian citizen. He was a Canadian citizen. So he gave that up probably 14, 15 months ago. The problem is you have a cloud over Ted's head. And that's a big problem because I don't know how you solve it other than going to court and getting a declaratory judgment. I don't see how you can solve it because you know that the Democrats have already announced that they're going to bring a lawsuit.
Let me ask you about the upcoming debates. Rand Paul has indicated because he's on the first debate, the opening debate before the major one that you'll be on, that he's not coming, that he's skipping the debate altogether. What do you think of that?
I can understand why. I mean, he's a United States senator. He was a favorite to win. A lot of people thought he could conceivably win, and I mean, I can understand why he wouldn't want to do it. It's a tough thing to do. He's been on the main stage, and now he's being put on a lower stage, and he's just sitting senator. He's a respected person, and I can understand fully why he wouldn't want to go to the second stage.
But do you think it's a mistake that he's robbed of an opportunity to talk to what would still be a substantial audience?
I don't think it's a mistake. I don't think it's either. I don't think it matters. I mean, frankly, for him, I think what he should do is go back and run for the senator of Kentucky and do a good job as a senator. I think it's not going to make any difference. But I can fully understand why he wouldn't want to go on the second stage.
You know, President Obama was doing an interview with Matt Lauer at NBC this morning, and your name surprisingly came up, and the president criticized you that you can't have a campaign based on, quoting him, Donald, on simplistic solutions and scapegoating. He went on to say, when discussing the possibility of a Trump presidency, I can imagine it in a Saturday Night Live skit. What did you think of that?
Well, he's being a wise guy, and that's fine. Look, I'm very critical of him. He's been a terrible president. He's done a terrible job. The world is blown up around us. We've created havoc all over the Middle East and elsewhere. We're doing very poorly in our country. Our economy is terrible. The jobs have been taken away, the real jobs, not the crummy jobs that they report all the time. third-rate jobs and part-time jobs. The country is just not the same. So he obviously is not exactly thrilled with what I say about him, and that's the answer, though. I mean, you look at what's going on with so many different things. The illegal immigration that's pouring through. Obamacare is a disaster. It's got to be repealed and replaced. So you can't be exactly thrilled with what I'm saying, but I'm saying the truth. I speak the truth, and that's why I'm leading in the polls.
I know you just carry on. You try to ignore these critics. Sometimes you'll respond very quickly and adroitly and surgically to some of these attacks. But when the president dismisses you or mocks you, and you hear, even still in the establishment media, many waiting for you to implode, thinking that you will, and here it's been more than half a year and you've not. Do you ever feel like Rodney Dangerfield, that you don't get your respect, that you don't get your due?
No, because when I look at the polls, I have a poll now at 42%. I'm leading by many, 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 double and triple, and, beating these people. And so, you have to look at that. You have to look at the response. When I go out to speak, I'll have 20,000 people. I had 35,000 people in Mobile, Alabama. I have by far the biggest crowds, far, far bigger than Bernie Sanders. He is second, in all fairness, to my Republican opponents, but far bigger than Bernie Sanders by, numerous times. And, I think that's respect, and I understand the president would do that, and I'd do the same thing exactly. I mean, I'd probably talk that way exactly, but he can't be thrilled with me, and frankly, the country is a mess, and we're going to straighten it out. We're going to make America great again. That's my theme, is make America great again. So I fully understand that. You know who had that bigger than I do is Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was totally scoffed at. What does he know, and all, and he became a great president, and I haven't. Look, I built a great company, a really great company. I've had tremendous success with The Apprentice. I've written The Art of the Deal and many other, tremendous bestsellers. And, I've had a very good time of life. But, an opponent is always going to say that I get it from the Republicans, too. They say things that...
oh, for sure. And I'm sure they're going to have guns a-blazing. I'm sure they're going to have guns a-blazing for you Thursday night here where I stand. Are you prepared for that? Everyone focusing on your 45% tariff idea for China. They're saying that you're not equipped or able to offer.
I'm just saying that we have to take a tough stance in China, because I never said, I don't even know where the 45% came from, but I said that is the equivalent of what they've done with respect to their devaluations. But China has to pay a price if they don't start, behaving, because they're killing us on trade.
So you would not respond in kind with the... I'm sorry, so you would not respond in kind with a tariff on their goods? Some of your opponents have said that would be akin to a trade war, and we'd all lose in that event. You say what?
Well, right now we're losing $500 billion with China, so on a yearly basis. We're losing so much money. They've taken so many jobs. So, sometimes you're better off, like, every once in a while, it might not be so bad. You want to know the truth. But, no, I wouldn't do that. We need China's help with North Korea, but China's not doing anything about North Korea. We need fairness in trade, and China's not treating us fairly. They devalue their currency all the time. They're not treating us fairly. And unless we get smart, unless we get strong, we're not going to have any. We won't have a country left. I mean, they're taking so much. And it's not only China. It's other countries also.
So how do you prepare for Thursday? I noticed at the last Fox Business debate in Milwaukee, you held back a little bit. You did not go on the assault. I mean, you let the candidates fight amongst you. They would throw a few barbs your way. You would throw a barb back. But it was almost like you were kind of holding back a little bit and waiting to be fired on, but not firing right away. Are you going to keep that posture, or do you expect now, given your lead and given the fact that at least in a couple of polls you've reasserted that lead in Iowa, that they're going to be going for you?
Well, I don't know what they're going to be doing. I think I'm going to be very much like the last debate. You have to understand, some people would say, oh, why didn't you fire here or there? I won every single poll on the debate. I won Drudge, who's an amazing guy, by the way. But I won Drudge, I won Time Magazine, I won Slate, I won PBS. Every single poll, who won the debate, I won. And, it's not my really job to go and interrupt everybody. I hate when I see there are certain people that are interrupting constantly, just constantly. All I can do, and what I'd like to do, and I did that at the Reagan debate where we had it at the Reagan Library, and it was criticized a little bit for it. I sat back and waited for the questions. They hit me so many questions the first 2 hours Then on the third hour, they didn't give me very many questions because it got ridiculous. All they were doing is asking me questions. So on the third hour, everyone said, well, he didn't speak up in the third hour. That's because they didn't ask me questions. I mean, they weren't asking me any questions. I feel that I should respond to questions. I shouldn't necessarily interrupt. I mean, we have a couple of people on the stage who are constantly interrupting everybody and, you know, just butting in. And I don't know, I can do that better than anybody. I just don't think it's appropriate.
Who are those couple of people?
Well, because I've become so diplomatic, I won't mention their names, but you would know who they are. I mean, every question they're butting in and cutting in, and I just feel I shouldn't do that. But then when I don't do that, they'll say, like you just said, oh, well, you were very quiet in the debate. But, you know, I might have been quiet, but everybody said I won. You know, I hit Jeb Bush because